No, he didn't. Anyway, let's get on with the chapter review. So, chapter 535 kicks off with a confrontation between the first crew head of Busan and Hudson An, after Hudson just randomly decided to barge in with no justification whatsoever and take over his entire business model, starting his own Ansan public branch in Busan, and the head of this crew questions Hudson's business ethics. Rightfully so, I mean, this dude just came in with Jay's money and took everything over for his own benefit. Hudson calls him an impatient business owner and says if you lost in business, you should win it back with business. But you came here to win it back with force, which I'm not gonna lie is quite weird coming from Hudson, because he didn't even use his own money to start this branch, he used Jay's money. You get 0 points. He throws a punch at the Busan head and the latter deflects it with his shoulder, and I've seen a whole bunch of opinions regarding the meaning behind this purple effect here. It could either be just a cool effect from PTJ or a form of mastery. Anyway, he hits Hudson with the Hood classic comeback, I never asked for your opinion, and I mean like, how the fuck do you even respond to that? Hudson again tries to throw another punch, not learning from his mistake, and it's again deflected with a shoulder roll. Every time it's different though. Some are deflected upwards, sideways, and so on. Hudson then proceeds to get perception blitzed by the Busan head, Shin Aram I think was his name, and he gets hit with a barrage of punches seemingly imbued with speed mastery I think it was. I'm not too sure about that either, I'd have to ask a couple other people, but Hudson says his jab was so fast he couldn't even see it. And I mean, he's right, it was so fast for him he couldn't even tell it was multiple jabs and not one. Shin then decides to basically compliment the son of Ansan, saying out of all the guys who came from Seoul, he's the strongest. I'm not sure if it was Hudson's confidence that gave him that impression or what exactly. Either way though, he was correct. Again, he throws a barrage of punches which Hudson eats for breakfast. He seems to choke on a few of them though, and in an attempt to retaliate, he throws another punch which, you guessed it, is again deflected with another shoulder roll. Hudson only needs a single strike though. Shin continues to ask Hudson about the other members of Allied, saying, seriously, what about your other friends? They're all relying on you. How can the captain be so damn weak? And that's when the sandwich of Ansan gets his face smacked right into the wall, and Zack is immediately alerted. Zack unfortunately isn't given enough time to be able to help though, because Ji-hoon immediately throws a kick which lands flush on his jaw, giving Zack the impression that he's some sort of kickboxer. Just kidding, the punch didn't land on Zack's face, he blocked it. Ji-hoon throws another punch which is also blocked by Zack, and another kick which is dodged by Zack, and a knee which is also dodged by Zack, and in the process of throwing these attacks, Ji-hoon questions Zack regarding why he came to Busan and who he even is in the first place. Ji-hoon mocks Zack, saying, don't you regret coming here? After all, Seoul's nothing in front of Busan. But don't feel too sad about it, because your friends must be in the same boat as you. And then we immediately cut to Vin and Vasco getting gripped by, I think his name was Hyakjin, and he uses judo to slam them both, and after another slam on the ground, seemingly knocks Vinjin right the fuck out. He rushes at Vasco while mocking Vinjin because he thinks he died from those 2 slams for some reason, and that's when we cut to Sangen versus Eli, where Sangen is throwing a claw strike at Eli in an attempt to rip his face off. Eli dodges it though and makes sure it only tears his suit apart, and then Sangen mentions how his fighting style is the very essence of the wild, which is quite ironic if you ask me, seeing as though he's fighting a person who possesses and utilizes animal instinct, but I digress. He calls his technique the finger blade, and it seems like all of these 5 crew heads think of themselves as some sort of genius, with Sangen even saying that his technique belongs to the realm of geniuses while kicking the batons out of Eli's hands and complaining that he coveted their business. And that's when we cut to Daniel versus Jinchan, with Daniel throwing a kick at Jinchan's head and Jinchan dodging it with ease. Jinchan says he's dying out of boredom and begins asking Daniel to put some more effort into his attacks, to which Daniel responds by throwing another kick and Jinchan dodges it again. Jinchan also calls himself a genius here whilst dodging a barrage of punches from Daniel, and he says that no one can touch him ever. He says the reason they can't touch him is because he has a god-given talent, he can copy others. He says this while throwing an attack at Daniel by the way, and Daniel blocks it. He tells Daniel that this is called the copy skill and that he's sorry for being a genius, and we then cut back to Hudson versus Shin, and Shin states that they're all geniuses, in reference to the 5 crew heads of Busan. After shoulder rolling another one of Hudson's punches, he follows up with a jab combo since Hudson distances himself, and he also asks Hudson if he regrets coming to Busan. Again, he shoulder rolls Hudson's punch, and without realizing, Hudson drives Shin into a corner, puts his left supporting hand on his right wrist, and whilst Shin is doubting his weak ass punch's ability to do anything to him, even questioning the stance that he takes, Hudson throws an absolute haymaker of a punch and shatters the space-time continuum, sending us into a flashback with him and Tae-soo, where he opens up to Tae-soo about his anxiety because of the fact that he doesn't seem to make any progress. Tae-soo says, so you've hit a wall. Hudson asks Tae-soo, can I win against all those techniques with just my punch? And Tae-soo replies, yes. Yes, you can. Hudson, listen carefully. Hitting a wall means there's a whole new world waiting for you past it. Don't worry about falling behind, because you've taken the right path. As for the world beyond that wall, you can reach it as long as you trust yourself. Teaching Hudson to trust himself since he never did in his fight with James Lee. We cut back to Hudson versus Shin, and whilst Hudson is turning Shin's shoulder into some minced beef, he mentions the way to use the mastery of strength, meaning a person with 1 mastery just beat a person with 2, so that's pretty cool I guess. He invites Shin to come to Ansan and offers him a drink, and we cut to Ji-hoon versus Zack. This time Ji Jihoon is the one distracted with someone else, that being Hudson, saying he's proving himself to be the captain of his friends, and then Zack hits us with some Jackie Lee deja vu and asks Jihoon, what about me? Jihoon throws a kick at Zack in an attempt to catch him off guard. Zack dodges, however, and straight up puts a hole in the guy, hitting him with a right hook powerful enough to bring Jiho back to life. He says, oops, sorry, I should have controlled my strength. After both fights fundamentally end in a one-shot, not really for Hudson, but you get the gist, we cut to the fight between Vasco and Vinjin and Hyukjin, and whilst Hyukjin is rushing at Vasco, Vasco says he needs to stop Vinjin or else Hyukjin will be the dead guy. Vin just grabs bro's leg, looks him straight in the eye like a damn serial killer, and says playing around with judo is fun. PTJ leaves it to us to assume whether or not Hyukjin remains alive, but since it's Vinjin, I'm assuming either the guy died or Vinjin somehow got the Taejin treatment again and is currently laying on the floor with about 2 teeth left in his mouth. We then cut to Eli versus Sangen, and Eli dodges Sangen's attack without dodging it. Instead of actually making any moves, he simply starts some small talk to catch the guy off guard and make him stop attacking him, and then he throws an identical attack at Sangen's face, which Sangen is forced to dodge. The wild realm of geniuses, technique polished over months. It must be my first time, you say. It was my whole life. Yeah, we didn't get much from this fight other than Eli is now powered up with animal instinct and seemingly about to touch Sangen inappropriately. Finally though, we cut to Jinchan versus Daniel, and this was probably the funniest yet coldest fight of the chapter, as whilst Jinchan is blabbering on about being a genius, Daniel just fucking teleports right behind him and says, nope, you need to lower your stance a bit more. So yeah, it seems like this guy's copy ability isn't the brightest of the bunch. Either that or PTJ is hinting at the fact that Daniel has his own path similar to Johan and the others, or at least is starting his own path and that's why he can't be copied that efficiently. But regardless, we see Daniel say, I see. Someone in Busan can copy too, huh? Nice to meet you. I can copy too. And he gets the same aura behind his back that Jin Young got all the way back in the first affiliate arc, implying that his copy ability is much more efficient than that of his opponent. Anyway, that was it for the chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe and join the Discord if you feel like it. I'm out. See ya.